you don't know, now you know. You better get yourself in the flow. And if you don't think that you can, you better find Rob Rant. The Rob Rant Show. The Rob Rant Show. And if you don't know, now you know. The Rob Rant Show. The Rob Rant Show. And if you don't know, now you know.
This is Rob Bell. And this is Rob Rant. Welcome to the Rob's Rant Show. I'm going to extend my Rob's Rant from the last Rob's Rant where I talked about the outrageous situation where a man raped a woman on a septic train and nobody did anything about it. Now, some of the news stories that are coming out is that that's a lie. SEPTA spokesman and the district attorney from Montgomery County, of Upper Darby, is saying that whole thing is a lie. That people did not do anything about it. And in addition, nobody videotaped the situation. What? First they said they were looking for the videotape from people who allegedly videotaped the incident. Then the last thing I heard was that if they do get a videotape from somebody who videotaped the incident, they're going to prosecute that person. Well, obviously nobody's going to turn that videotape in if they feel like they're going to get locked up. But I think SEPTA and the DA set that whole thing up because if you have no videotape, then you have no proof. And you have no proof, you can extend the narrative by saying nobody videotaped it and it's a lie that people didn't do anything about the rape on the septic train. If that ain't a bunch of crock, I don't know what is. The bottom line is, SEPTA, you were negligent in protecting people riding one of your transportation system trains. SEPTA, you were negligent in not having police officers, and you have your own police force that are riding those cars on that 69th Street train, that elevated train, which extends from Frankfort to Upper Darby and 69th Street. There's a multitude of stops between Frankfort and 69th Street. When you start to come through West Philadelphia, you start to enter into some neighborhoods that are not so nice. And people get on a train that basically are creeps. And obviously this creep got on the train and harassed this woman, from what I understand, for a couple of stops before he decided in his ridiculous, fiendish mind that he was going to rape this woman. And again, you can't tell me that people sitting on that train did not hear the conversation he was trying to have with this young lady. He didn't hear, or they didn't hear where this whole thing was going. You can't tell me that there were no men on that train that could have stepped up and told this freak, hey man, leave that woman alone and do something about it. You can't tell me that people didn't have the wherewithal to call 911 and get some officers out there to meet them at the stops that were coming up to get this man to leave this woman alone. You know why? Because people don't care today. Everybody's into their own little creepy world, their own little selfish existence, their own little whatever. And it's I don't want to be bothered with that. It's none of my business. Until it happens to you. That's the same reason that violence is off the hook in Philadelphia, because these people in Philly know who's committing these crimes, but oh no, they're afraid. I don't want to get involved in that. I know little Johnny down the street is perpetrating these crimes, but I'm afraid if I say something, they might come back and get me. Oh my God. And I do understand that. But to some extent, enough is enough. We got women being raped on the train. We had a 6-year-old walk out of a elementary school the other day, only to be found blocks away by a pervert stranger and brought back to the school. Had that stranger been a pervert, who knows what would have happened to that little girl. You know, we got people being shot in bodegas, execution style in Philadelphia. We got people, young brothers getting into gunfights outside of public high schools, and an innocent man gets shot in his head while he was taking his daughter or his granddaughter a dress for an occasion that their family was going to celebrate. And now he's dead. Why? Because people in Philadelphia, criminals in Philadelphia, have a brave indifference to human life. And so now they come up with the grand idea of not stopping vehicles for violations that are minor. So now, as a police officer, you can't stop anybody for a minor traffic violation. It has to be something major. And so if you, I guess, got an expired license plate, can't stop me. If I got an expired inspection sticker, can't stop me. If, I have an equipment violation, you can't stop me. So you're allowed to just ride around with a piece of shit car and the police officers can't stop you. But what people don't realize is that a lot of those stops warrant a lot of, people being, carrying drugs in those cars, carrying weapons in those cars. People who are riding dirty have warrants out for their arrest. For example, if I stop you, and I used to be a police officer, I used to stop somebody for a inspection sticker. And I walk up to the car and the guys in the car are smoking marijuana. Oh, I'm going to ask everybody to get out that car because I don't need any warrant to search that vehicle now because I smelled marijuana in the car. My backup comes, we snatch 3 people out the car. One out of those 3 guys may have a warrant out for his arrest. We search the car, we may find a weapon. We search the car, we may find a cadre of drugs, marijuana, methamphetamine, cocaine. And so a minor traffic stop warranted a felony arrest. And if you multiply that by 10 and 20 and 30 times per day throughout the city, maybe, just maybe, we can get some of these lawless people off the street. Because a lot of people who are committing these crimes out here are repeat offenders. A lot of these people who are committing these crimes out here have warrants out for their arrest. But if you have no probable cause to stop anybody because people bitched about the stop and frisk law, then you don't know who has what. You don't know who's carrying what. Most of these criminals, young criminals, are carrying firearms. Most of these young criminals are under the influence of drugs and are selling drugs. You mean to tell me when police officers are riding through their districts and in their beats, and these guys are standing out on the corner, they don't know that they're out there selling dope? Of course they do. But again, they're caught up with the no, stop, and frisk. And so these guys know that, and they're allowed to just do what they do. And in 5 to 10 minutes, an hour later, the next gang rolls up on that corner, and now you got a gun battle. And so the police are forced to be reactive and dragging people off the streets instead of being proactive. Policing in America today is horrible. Horrible. police officers have, and not all police officers, but a good number of police officers have this I don't give a shit attitude. I just want to come in, do my 8 hours, and go home. There is no proactive police work being done. There's no directed patrol. There's no community policing. There's no attitude of I'm going to do my part to get down to what is driving all of this gun violence. And there's none of that. Because there's a lot of police officers out there that are scared. There are a lot of police officers out there who don't live in those neighborhoods and they could care less. And there's a lot of police officers out there that are just simply lazy. They don't want to do no work. They just want to get the money and go home and say that they have a prestigious job of being a police officer. You mean to tell me out of all those police officers that are SEPTA police officers, for which, again, SEPTA has their own police force, that no officers are walking those trains, especially at that time of night? There are no police officers walking the trains on the Broad Street line, which runs from Fern Rock to Broad and Patterson. There are no police officers walking the elevated line, which runs from Frankfort Avenue to 69th Street. There are no police officers getting on those trolleys that run from underneath 15th and Market and surface around, 36 in Baltimore and Woodland Avenue. And then the multitude of buses that run throughout the city. When's the last time you seen a police officer get on a city bus? When's the last time you seen a SEPTA cop get on a trolley, the 36, the 11, the 13, the trackless trolley up in Frankfurt? When's the last time you seen a police officer get on any of those modes of transportation for SEPTA? Oh yeah, you can go down to Broad and Only, 69th and Market, 15th and Market, the Frankfurt stop on the L, and see SEPTA police bunched up, standing around talking to each other, laughing and joking and having a good grand old time. But nobody's getting on the train and protecting the citizens who ride that train. It's ridiculous. And so now I just hear the new narrative is that SEPTA was aware that there have been several sexual assaults on either the Broad Street line or the elevated line. In the past, they have identified people and recently just made an arrest in addition to the guy that they found that raped the woman, but they never told the public about it. So in effect, they were hiding stuff from the public because they don't want their police department to look inept. They don't want it to be looked at as their police officers are not doing anything, which they aren't. And now that this rape situation has come to light, they want to try to put themselves in a positive light by making another arrest on a guy that they claim has been molesting and sexually abusing or sexually looking at or attacking other females on other modes of transportation. That's why, this whole violence thing in Philadelphia is out of control, because everybody is more concerned about how they look. Everybody's more concerned about, oh my God, we don't want to look inept as a department, so we'd rather hide stuff instead of being truthful about it. We'd rather hide stuff than push our police officers and train our officers to get out there and do work and protect the public and be proactive. We'd rather do that as opposed to just sitting back and not doing a goddamn thing. We got to get better. And I'm starting to sound like Andy Reid, the former coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. He used to go to these press conferences, and every time they asked him a question about why we lost, his answer was, we got to get better. I'm tired of saying we got to get better. We got to be more proactive. We got to get people in positions who actually give a damn about trying to make for a better living situation and atmosphere in the city of Philadelphia. You can't ride the train. You can't drive your car. You can't walk the streets without the possibility of you getting killed or assaulted or robbed. Philadelphia is the 6th largest city in the United States. You mean to tell me that it can't protect its citizens? Apparently not. And that's why in some of my other broadcasts, I call for a 1,000,000 citizen march the Saturday after Black Friday on City Hall to urge the mayor of Philadelphia and to bring the governor of Pennsylvania into the fold to declare martial law in Philadelphia. Make it a state of emergency. Because the way that we're doing it right now, and I know that would be unprecedented. There's no way in hell that a mayor is going to put himself or a governor is going to put himself in a position to bring military troops into an urban area, urban city to protect its citizens. I know that's asking a lot. I know that's a pie in the sky attitude, but damn it, something has to be done. And if you don't take any steps other than what you're taking right now, that 499 homicide rate that you had last year will be shattered because you don't care. Somebody has to do something. Of all the brilliant minds in the city of Philadelphia, you mean to tell me can't nobody come up with better solutions than we have right now? And people getting killed 2, 3, 4 times a day, and over the weekends, many more, and the beat goes on. Something has to be done. This is Rob Bell, and this is Rob's Rant.
If you don't know, now you know. You better get yourself in the flow. And if you don't think that you can, you better find Rant. The Rob Rant Show.